Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live stream. I hope you're all very well tonight. So, who have we got on the stream tonight? As you can see, it's a very special live stream because you can see me, and it's 80,000 because the channel has reached 80,000 subscribers. So that was amazing. I never thought it would actually arrive at that stage, but here we are. And I'm hoping we can get to 100,000. Probably not this year, but hopefully next year. So as it's a special live stream, quite informal. Okay, you can ask me any questions you want within reason, of course. Let's keep it a family show. Let's see who's on the stream tonight. We have Christian. Great to see you, Christian. We also have Maria. Great to see you. Enzo the God. Great to have you on. Raven 1983 Witch, great to see you once again. Eddie, great to see you. Killer, thanks for coming on moderating. We have Lenan, great to have you on. Tiny Demolition Lover, hope you're well. Great to see you. We have Maria, great to see you. John O'Sullivan, well, we're up to 118 viewers, that's great. We have Wim, great to see you. Who else have we got? AN98. Katrina, great to have you on, hope you're fine. We also have Ruman, great to see you. Richard, FSM is the dog. FSM certainly is the dog. Eddie, I already said hello to Eddie. Gene T, great to see you. We also have, let me see, Chatty Rat, great to see you, Chatty. Hope you're fine. There's probably a bit of a delay between the sound and the video. It's something I can't do anything really about. Hopefully it's not too bad. All the fours 44. Yes, I'm an old man. I don't know if I look more than 44 or what, but yes, 77. We also have, let me see, Derek, great to see you. Mike, great to have you on. I'm going to try and say hello to as many people tonight because I think we have a smaller group tonight, so I'll try and say hello to as many, but I can't say hello to everyone, otherwise we'll be here all night. Philip Ruman, lost in France, great to see you all. CGM, great to have you on. We also have Alex, great to see you. Cathy Doyle, great to have you on. Raji Guarada, great to see you. Who else have we got? Buxton, great to see you. Hope you're fine, Buxton. Daily Blaze, great to see you. Hope you're fine tonight. And so many. Hedgehog Legs, great to see you. And so many on tonight. Oh, we have a super chat from the Ministerian. What's your shoe size? My shoe size is 44, I think it is. Yeah, 44 in European measurements. So I don't know what that is. I think it's a size 10 or a size 11 in UK sizes. Thanks so much for that. I'm going to try and read out as many of your comments and super chats as possible tonight because that's what I'm here to do. We're not going to talk really about Brexit or anything. I'm sorry. We can talk about that next week or next time on Tuesday. But I'll try and read out as many of your comments as possible. I also have a list of questions already prepared from Discord. Let me read some more of your comments. Hi everyone. Hi everyone who's on the stream tonight. You know what they say about big shoe sizes? Yeah. I don't know if it's true though. Big shoes means big feet. We also have Misty Hill, great to see you. Who else have we got? Brexiteer Katie Hopkins looked way older than you 2 years ago when she was 44. Thanks so much for that, Katrina. I think it's the grey. The grey doesn't help. If I get rid of the beard, maybe I look a bit younger. Somebody asked, are you Irish? Yes, I am. I'm from Longford, but I probably lost some of the accent now because I've been living in Italy for so long. Alexis, great to see you on the stream. Thanks so much for that super chat. Ciao, Max. Nice to see you. Greetings, fella Glasgow. Very good. Hope you're all well up in Glasgow. Thanks so much for that super chat. Very kind of you. Nice to see you too. Max, where where did I leave my car keys? Probably in your In your car? No, hopefully you didn't leave them in the car. Maybe you left them under the sofa or under the cushion on the sofa, if you have a cushion on your sofa. Sometimes my phone would fall out of my pocket while I'm in the car, and then I'd get into the house and then I'd be like, where's my phone? And I'd realize it had fallen onto the car seat. Why did you move to Italy, and how did you get that foresight? Which foresight? If you're talking about Brexit, I don't know if it was foresight, but more looking back at what the hell had happened. So the reason I'm in Italy is because of Mrs. Max. So we met stereotypically in a pub in Ireland, and she said to me, "Oh, we met and we just had a chat and we became friends." And she said, "If you'd ever like to visit Italy, I can show you around Venice. I live near Venice." And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to visit." Yeah, as you say, yeah, sure, in the future sometime. And then I had some holiday time and I decided, yeah, why not go to Venice? I have a friend there and she can show me around. And then I came to Venice. I came to Italy, saw Venice, and I fell in love with Venice. And then after Mrs. Max, first the city. Anyone who hasn't visited Venice, please do. It's a wonderful city, especially now because there are fewer tourists and you can see more. But you have to spend a few days in the city because there's so much to see. So I hope that answers your question. We also have a super chat from Tims. Thanks so much for that super chat, Tims. Mustard or ketchup? Ketchup. But I like mustard, but very, very little. A little bit on, in a sandwich or something. Mustard is nice. But ketchup, you can overload stuff with ketchup. That's okay. What's the difference between a duck? A duck and a what? I was in Edwardstown once during a feud. Okay. Edwardstown is nice. Not much to see. It's quite small, but it's a quiet little town. How do Jacobs get the figs into the fig hole? That's a secret, so I can't tell you. I know, but I have my connections, but I can't tell you how. Ballyleague. Very good. I'm not from Longford Town, just outside, but yeah. That's cool. That's a small world. We have another super chat from DC. What implications do you think for the Supreme Court ruling on the Scottish issue will hold a second referendum? So I haven't seen the ruling, but I imagine, look, and I think we talked about this with Phil during the live stream as well. If the Scottish government are not permitted to hold a second referendum, they'll just hold one, and then it will become a political statement of, we want to be free, we want to have our or we want to at least be able to have a referendum, because the more Boris Johnson attempts to block a referendum, the more it will help the independence movement. So what are the implications? I haven't read the ruling, but I imagine it's not going to stop the SNP from holding and the Green Party from holding a referendum. The British government will call it a wildcat referendum, and they'll refuse to accept it. But there's nothing stopping the Scottish government from holding a referendum. And if they hold a referendum, even if it's considered a wildcat one, and the majority support independence, which is likely to happen, because if people think it's not going to be binding, then they're more likely to come out and vote, yeah, I'll vote for that, to send a message to Westminster. But the Scottish government will be able to use it as a platform to build greater support for independence on. So I think it's going to work for the SNP either way. Thanks for that super chat, DC. Maria, thanks so much for that. Why did you choose the name? Yes, the name of the leader of the French Revolution, and later leader of the Reign of Terror as the name of your YouTube channel. So I get this asked a lot. I get asked this a lot. So I don't support chopping people's heads off. I promise you that. No, when I was growing up as a kid, and I remember reading about Robespierre in history books, I was fascinated by the character, the person, and I'm not an expert on him at all, but I liked the idea of the incorruptible, because when I started the channel, I was very concerned, and I still am concerned, about corruption. And sometimes you see it in some of the videos. I rant a bit about corruption, about how money in politics corrupts politics. And, you know, people believe that you can go out and vote and you change the country, you change the politicians, you can change the makeup of parliament. But at the same time, someone can come along with a lot of money and influence parliament or influence the government. And I think that's a huge problem. You know, you could have 10,000 people going out and voting against Boris Johnson, and you could have trying to force him to change a policy or to introduce a new policy, and you have instead some millionaire coming along and donating 10 or 15,000 pounds to the party. And who's the Tory party going to listen to? Are they going to listen to the voters, or are they going to listen to the person who donates? And this is a huge problem. We need to get money out of politics. Political parties, I believe, should be publicly funded. There shouldn't be private donations. Or an alternative to that could be what Andrew Yang, for example, or other, not just him, but others, Andrew Yang in particular comes to mind, is the freedom dollars or patriot dollars. I don't remember the term he used. But this would be where every citizen is given $10, for example, to donate to a political party, and you can decide. So in a sense, political parties are publicly funded, but it's not through the taxpayer, it's through a sort of dividend or money that you receive. So I think that's a good idea, but we need to take money out of politics, because it makes no sense that voters vote for something and someone else comes along with a huge amount of cash and they influence policy. So I like the idea of the incorruptible, because I think we all, in a sense, can be corrupted. And I liked the idea of Robespierre, in a sense, being the incorruptible. He wasn't corruptible by outside influences. And in a sense, also, I like the idea of the continuous revolution. So he believed that there was always, in a sort of perverted way, he believed that there was always a threat to the revolution. And I think there's always a fight with Brexit, with everything. It's never done. Boris Johnson said, get Brexit done. Of course, Brexit is not done, and Brexit will never be done, in a sense. And of course, we can apply this to rejoining the European Union. If the UK, hopefully they do, fingers crossed, the UK will rejoin the European Union. There will always be a threat to that position. There will be always the Brexiteers. Nigel Farage won't give up so easily. Even if the UK does join, he'll be campaigning to leave again. And we have to fight that. Thanks for that super chat, Maria. We have Cole 08. Thanks so much. Congratulations, Max. Thanks so much for that. Very kind of you. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. No, I think I got them all there. Let me read some more of your comments. State fund the political parties. Strange love the doctor. Yes. Which do you think is worse, a corrupt politician or corrupt journalism? Corrupt journalism is worse, I think, because Father Dougal Maguire. Because at least with a corrupt politician, it can be exposed and removed. And if you have robust journalism, it can inform the public that this person is corrupt. And it can be removed. We can deal with that. But corrupt journalism is a huge problem, because we can't vote these people out. We can try to vote with our pockets by not supporting their media, but now that everything is online, it's much more difficult to boycott, for example. If we look at The Sun, for example, where in the north of England, they will not buy the Sun newspaper because of what happened in the past, and that's a boycott that has continued to this day, and it's been reasonably successful, but it's about, in a sense, corrupt journalism. But I think it's very difficult to deal with corrupt journalism. We need ethical standards, and these need to be enforced. But unfortunately, I think it's very difficult to do that. Let me read more of your comment, then I'm going to jump to some on Discord. What do you think of the Mica scandal in Ireland? So, for those who aren't familiar, I'm not an expert on this. I've just been following it somewhat. So back in, I think it was 2007, 2008, following the economic crash, or in the build-up to the economic crash, there was, before 2007, 2008, there was a massive boom in building in Ireland. So there was the Celtic Tiger, and the people were building houses all over the country, and some builders were using substandard materials or using particular chemicals. I think it was a type of stone that was being used in the cement making, that wouldn't stand the test of time, in a sense that it would crumble after a couple of years. And I don't know if it was a case of the builders didn't know, or they did know but they pretended not to know, and they didn't talk about it or didn't say anything about it. But now what's happening is you're seeing people's homes after 10 or 15 years collapse, but literally collapse. They are falling apart. The walls are crumbling, turning into like biscuit, crumbling like cake or biscuit. And it's people's homes, and they've paid for these homes. They've taken out mortgages to buy these homes, and now these homes you can't sell them because they're not safe, and they can't be repaired because the material is all over the building. You just have to demolish the entire building and rebuild it. And some of course the builders have sold off their enterprises or gone bust or whatever, and the people are left with nothing. So I definitely think that the government should step in, as part of the social safety net. These people have, they didn't do something illegal. They didn't engage in some sort of underhanded scheme. They bought these homes in good faith, and they are suffering the consequences of that. And as a society, what is the solution? What is the alternative? We just dump people onto the street, and then we put them into social housing or whatever, and we have to pay for that as well. It makes more sense, I think, to let them eat homes. It makes more sense to let I believe, to compensate these people, or to provide new accommodation for them. I don't know how many people are involved here. I think it's a significant number, though. Do you like the EU? No, I hate the EU. Look, well, people ask me something about the EU. It's is the EU perfect? Absolutely not. The EU is absolutely not perfect. I think it's the best thing we have in town. I actually wanted to. I wanted to post it on the channel. I was last weekend was doing a little tour around central Italy, and I visited a castle, medieval castle, and the castle's maintenance and its upkeep is funded partly by the European Union. And I had a photo. I took a photo of this, and I think, I was looking at the castle and I said, it's wonderful that we have this. Would the local town council be able to afford to maintain this castle? Probably not. It's a small town. It would cost them a fortune to maintain this. So it's fun. It's been supported with European cash, with European money, and I'm happy for that, because we can enjoy these relics. We can enjoy these cultural aspects for future generations as well, and that's thanks to European funding. We tend to think of money. We pay a lot of money into the European Union. We get nothing back. No, what happens is, and I've said this before, what happens is politicians will spend money in areas to win votes. The European Union will spend money in areas because they need it. And look at Wales, for example. Wales received 97 million pounds over the last year or whatever from the European Union. That's gone now, and it's going to be replaced with 3 million, I think it is, from the British government, which isn't going to be enough. Night Raven, thanks so much for that super chat. 22 euro, enough to buy 44 bottles of baby shower. One for each year. Thanks so much for that. If your channel gets to 100,000 subs, will you do a mankini photo shoot for account? See, the problem with doing that, Wayne, is that the number of subscribers would go down very quickly. I'd wake up the next day and be like, oh my head, that was a terrible night. How many subscribers do I have? 5. And those are probably bots or trolls. Thanks so much for that, Night Raven. Where's your accent from? I really like it, but I can never pin it. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Alex. My accent is a mix probably of Longford. I spent a few years in Dublin. I don't know if I absorbed some of that as well. And then I've been living in Italy for about 15 years. So I probably picked up some of that as well. Some people, I remember one at the beginning I was making some videos, and some of the comments were about the accent, and they were like, your accent is, where are you from? Are you from Germany? Are you from Italy? And one said you had a colonial accent. What the hell is a colonial accent? We have a super chat from David Whelan. Thanks so much, David. Hi, Max. Greetings from Galyev. I suppose the only real question I have is, well, what's your name? Another pint of coffee or two. In any case, keep killing it, and happy birthday. Thanks so much for that. Well, my name is Mark. Some of you probably heard that before anyway. We have... Well, we're up to 323 viewers. That's amazing. Funny, I'm Dutch and I'm living 10 years in Dublin. Have you picked up the accent? Have you met Brexiteers in Italy? No. Now, I don't know if you mean by Brexiteers like Brexit from Britain, or Italians who want to leave the European Union. There are quite a few Italians, political parties in Italy that want to leave the European Union. One is, for example, called the League, or it used to be called the Northern League, and they're quite Eurosceptic, and they have been for years campaigning to leave, to have a referendum on leaving the European Union. But since Brexit, they have gone very, very quiet. Which is interesting. Now, of course, there are still Brexit or exit supporting parties. There's one in France. I tried to reach out to him to have a chat. So I might do that again. He did reply, and then it sort of went off the radar for a bit. But I may try to have a chat with him about why he wants France to leave the European Union. Because if we look at what's happening at the moment, that would happen to most countries if they leave. Fuel shortages, empty supermarket shelves, the problems with exporting, the issues with importing. So that's going to be, that's going to apply to most countries that leave the European Union. And I think it's actually worse for example, for Italy or France or Germany, if they wanted to leave, because they're more integrated. And it's also, if you look at the geography, it's different if you're sharing a land border to if you're sharing a sea border. You're much more integrated. Imagine a country like Luxembourg, if they decided to leave the European Union, and it'd be an absolute disaster for them, even worse than Brexit. So I haven't actually met any British Brexiteers in Italy. I've met a few people who think leaving the European Union would be a good idea, but generally they're more anti-foreigner, they're xenophobic people who just hate foreigners more than they understand the European Union. Bit like Brexit in a sense. Not all Brexiteers, of course. Not all people who voted for Brexit wanted just to keep foreigners out. I think that's important to remember. They don't have checks clerks of work in Ireland. No, I don't understand that. AN98, thanks so much for that super chat. When were you last in Britain? The last time I was in Britain, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I wanted to visit Britain last year. I had planned, Mrs. Max and I wanted to visit Scotland as well. We wanted to visit London and other parts of Britain. And then COVID arrived, of course, and we didn't have that chance. But I'm hoping maybe next year to visit Britain. I'd love to visit places where you guys are, and maybe we could meet up and have a chat. And one of the things I'd like to do is, if there's a march for rejoining the European Union, I'd like to take part in that as well, to meet some of the people. I'm sure some people would like to have a chat. We could meet, have a beer as well. Of course, that's important. But to discuss, what's happening and what we can do. And this channel, it's 80,000. It's not huge, but it is considerable. Has a considerable size, and it has a bit of influence at the moment. And I want to use that influence in a positive way. So if I can help smaller channels, or if I can help a march or something for rejoining the European Union, I'll definitely do that. We have another super chat. DC, thanks so much for that. Do you think Boris will call an election next year, or wait until all the current issues are behind us? I think he's going to call an election next year. He has to call it as soon as he can, because the longer he leaves it, the worse it's going to get. Today he was talking about hiring a special, I think it was an ex-chairman or CEO of Tesco, to deal with the shortages, the logistics crisis. So that means that he knows that things are going to continue for a while, at least. So he knows that they're not going to get better anytime soon. Because if he thought they were going to get better, then he wouldn't hire somebody to fix the problems. He knows they're getting worse. And I think he knows that the longer he leaves it, the worse it's going to get. And it's going to be worse for him. Because we're starting to see, which is interesting, and you saw the video, if you saw the video I uploaded earlier today, even during question time, when they're asking people, we need Brexiteers to come along and tell us why they voted, or why Brexit is still a good idea. And they were silent. They actually chose people who voted for Brexit, and the host, Fiona something, I don't remember her name, was gobsmacked, because she thought, but you're criticizing Brexit, but you voted for it. He said, yeah, I voted for it, but I'm criticizing it. So I think it's important that people who did vote for Brexit, and look, many people thought that they were going to make the country better. Many people thought, and it's not only about immigrants. I think for many, yes, but for a lot of people, it was maybe to give the government a bloody nose, or to, they were convinced by some of the arguments. Look, we're sending all this money to Europe, and we should be spending it on, the NHS, or we should be spending it on infrastructure, when in reality the government had no plans to do that. But some of those arguments were reasonably convincing. It's interesting that many people now feel quite comfortable saying, yes, I voted for Brexit, but now I think it's a bad idea. And I think more of those people should be encouraged. So do you think Boris will call an election? I think next year, but because he needs to. I think Phil even said maybe this year. It's possible, but I think we're getting too close to the end of the year. But he could call an election tomorrow, and it could be held maybe in November. If we look at what happened in 2019, it was pretty, fast pace. The thing is, if you call an election really, you call it for as soon as possible, it doesn't give the opposition parties much time to campaign. So I think Boris Johnson will try to call it as soon as possible, because the longer he leaves it, the worse it is, because these problems are not going to go away. Thanks for that super chat. Oh, let me see. I think I promise I will get to the Discord once. Derek, thanks so much for that super chat. Long before you mentioned UBI, have a nice French white wine on me. Oh, thank you so much for that. UBI, well, you know, as soon as UBI is mentioned, it's my trigger. So thanks so much to everyone for sending me birthday wishes. I'm getting older, and you know, when you get older, you try to forget about your birthday. It's a reminder. So, you know, as most people on the channel know, I'm an advocate for UBI. We need to provide people the means to live. I've seen so many heartbreaking videos recently on Twitter, on YouTube, of from Channel 4 recently. I think there was one, or the Sky News, where they were interviewing a woman who she saw the universal credit cut, and she's looking at her bills, and her bills are going up, and she's saying, look, my income, or the money I'm getting in, is coming down, and how am I supposed to deal with this? And she said that it was difficult before COVID. COVID made it worse, and now it's not getting any better. And, you know, can you imagine so many people, if you said to them tomorrow, here is £1,000 a month. Don't worry about bills. Like, this is going to cover your bills, maybe your rent. Maybe it's not going to cover everything, but it's going to provide you at least the basics to survive. So you can buy food. You can put a bit of petrol in your car. You can pay some of your rent, or pay all of your rent, depending on where you are. It would mean a huge boost to so many people. And then people who maybe are already working or working part-time could say, look, I can work a little bit less, spend more time with my family. You know, and this filters down into society as well, because, you know, if the children spend more time with their parents, they develop, you know, as better children. You know, children who are basically and I'm not criticizing people who are working, because they're doing whatever they can, but it's proven that, you know, children who spend more time with their parents end up with fewer development problems or issues later in life. And that's what should be happening. And, you know, if it's a cost, you know, we should be paying that, because if we don't, we're going to pay it in some other way. So you know how I feel on UBI. Let me move down. Just if there aren't any super chats now, I'll just jump to some of the comments. Some of the questions are so on Discord. So for those of you who are on Discord, you could ask me some questions. I'll read out some of those. So we have our first one is from Ministerian, who says, "Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Are we heading towards a brighter future or darker times?" You know, sometimes I think at the end, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's a train coming in the opposite direction. No, I think things work in cycles. This cycle seems to be pretty big. Okay, so it's going to take a while before we get to the end of it. But things do work in cycles. So Boris Johnson will not be there forever. Brexit, Brexit may not be there forever. If the UK rejoins the single market and customs union, the damage will be limited. Things will get better. And I do truly believe that the UK will join whatever's left of the UK, because I'm pretty sure Scotland will become independent, and if there's a referendum held in Ireland, there will be a united Ireland. So Wangland, if as Graham Hughes calls it, if Wangland rejoins in the future will rejoin the European Union, I think that's going to happen, and things that were lost will be returned. So I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. At the moment, we can't see the light, but it is there. We just have to keep moving forward. This one is from Conservator, who says, "What is the size of your loincloth?" Well, that's giving away too much information. Buon compleanno from Alex. Thanks, Alexis. Thanks so much for that. Buon compleanno, Max. So it's happy birthday in Italian. Thank you so much for that. Very kind. Loincloth size, I haven't checked. I need to check that out. We have a comment here on Discord from Bugden, who says, "What's your favorite mankini?" Union Jack mankini. No. That's Sir Ron's. Sir Ron has a Union Jack Mankini. I have a European Mankini. That's my with glitter. The stars are in glitter. This one is from Rial. Before I get to Reagan Elite, I'll just read Rial's. Would you ever consider going back into politics? I don't understand. Back into politics. Is that for the real Robespierre or is it for me? Well, I've actually considered going into politics, but it's a big difference running a YouTube channel and the support you have on that and attempting to become a politician. So I think becoming a politician is very, very different and difficult. You need a party behind you. If I was to run as a politician, I'd probably attempt to be an MEP, member of the European Parliament, not a local MP, because my view is about European level, is on a European level, not so much maybe on a local level. Because I think things like something like a UBI would be something amazing if we could introduce it at the European level. Of course, there are problems with that, but I think it would be. I think we need to start at a high level to deal with a lot of these issues, and of course at the bottom as well. But generally, I think we need to work from the top down. So I definitely would consider going into politics, but it depends on whether a party would have me or people would vote for me. Reagan Elite, thanks so much for that super chat. Nice flag, Max. But where's your portrait of the EU president? It must have fallen down. She won't be too happy, Ursula. But Ursula and I are good friends, so she doesn't mind. Back to the Discord comments. We have one from Killer who says, will you ever get around to using Twitch? Just ask as Tiny Demolition Lover reckons she could kick your arse on Call of Duty Warzone. But isn't Twitch... So Twitch started out as a video game platform or streaming for video games. Now they do everything on Twitch. They do live streams like this on Twitch. See, YouTube is easy because I know it reasonably well. I'm not a big fan of starting new things because there's a learning curve, and I'm not very good at these things. So I prefer just to keep it easy. Stay with what I know. I'm a bit maybe too conservative when it comes to that. Should open up to more. Should be on TikTok or something. I'm not sure if people are familiar with TikTok too much, but oh my god, TikTok is the future of humanity. Imagine Sir Ron Venti as an MEP, like Nigel Farage. We have one from Buxton on Discord who said, "Could the Gorn have beaten Kirk in if Kirk hadn't cheated?" Yes, I'm pretty sure the Gorn could have. The worst the worst fight in TV history. Captain Kirk versus the Gorn. Terrible. William Shatner is not famous for his acting. Rial says, what did you study at university? Ironically, I studied computers. I was okay at it, but now I'm terrible with computers. Let me see. We have Maria. Thanks so much for that comment on Discord. Maria says, I would like to know what kind of books do you prefer to read, Max, or what interests you beside politics? I'm a very strange person. I love sort of tragedies in the sense that I love these expeditions that took place back in the 1800s and 1900s that were disasters. That were, the ones that succeeded I'm not all that interested in. I really like for example, I'm not sure if people are familiar with the Franklin expedition that tried to find the Northwest Passage through Canada and the Arctic. Antarctic expeditions, Everest expeditions, the ones that have failed, but they have written, somebody has written a book about it. I love that, the Scott on the Scott on the South Pole, really, really interesting. I don't know why. Maybe it's a sort of morbid morbid curiosity I have, but I'm really fascinated by these ones that have failed, or that they have failed, but somebody has come back. Maybe one of the members have come back just to read it. And I have a few books on that, and fortunately with the channel I don't have much time to do a lot of reading, but I would like to start reading more of those books again. Oh, we have a super chat from Razormouth. Cool name. Would you consider joining Volt? Yes, Volt is a pan-European political movement, pro-European. Yeah, definitely. My only concern is that there are single-issue parties or single-issue movements don't tend to be very successful. Maybe Brexit is the exception, but I think it's important to maybe to put pressure on individual parties or coalitions in order to drive policy forward instead of forming one particular movement. But I definitely would consider it, and if I can support them in any way, I'd do that. Have you heard William Shatner sing? I think so. I heard he's not too bad at singing, but the acting. Okay, we have another super chat from John Coleman. Thanks so much for that, John. Max, are you surprised at the success of the channel, despite LV's big-mouthed, bold-faced, blusterous, boorish, brazen-faced, blabber-mouthed Brexitness? I really am surprised. So I started the channel back in 2016, I think it was. It's like most people, they say, I'll start a YouTube channel. And they have no idea what you're going to talk about. Or nobody starts out a YouTube channel in order to succeed. People start out a YouTube channel because they have a passion about something. And this is advice to anyone who'd like to start a YouTube channel or maybe get up to 80,000 or more subscribers. Talk about something that you're interested in. Don't try and say, okay, I'm going to copy something. Or look, this thing looks successful, I'm going to try and copy that. No, it has to be something that you're passionate about, because you need two things if you want to. This is a secret, YouTube secrets. If you want to become successful on YouTube, there are two things. You need to be passionate about what you're talking about, and you also have to be consistent. And I've noticed over the last number of years that I used to upload 1 video a day, or 2 videos a day, or 3 videos a day, or even 4 videos a day. You have to be consistent. So if you say, I'm going to upload 2 videos a day, do that, and try and do it every day. You can schedule things if you want, but you try and be as consistent as possible. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be short. It has to be engaging, but it has to be your passion. Your passion has to be in it. And you'll see that there seems to be a sort of threshold when channels get up to about 100,000. Then they start to reduce the number of videos they make. They put out maybe 1 a week, or 1 a day, or 1 even a month. The case may, depending on the case. But I never thought, when it got to 10,000 subscribers, I'm like, oh my God, 10,000 people want to listen to me rant about Jacob Rees-Mogg. And then it went up to 25,000. I couldn't be, and then I did an Ask Me Anything, I think, at 25,000. Then it went up to 50. I was like, oh my God, 50,000. And recently 75,000, about a week, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, 75,000. So, I don't know if it'll get to 100,000 by the end of this year, but I'm pretty sure it maybe at the beginning of next year. But I never thought it would get. I was in a way lucky, because I'm passionate about Brexit and about British politics, and maybe I was at the right time, because Brexit was, the vote had taken place, but the build up to leaving the European Union in an official way and the political manoeuvring really took place over the last number of years, and it's still an issue, and it's still going to go on, for the next number of years. I don't see Brexit going away in any sense. And look, I don't like talking about the bad things that are happening, but I think it's necessary, because what's happening, for example, with farmers who have to kill their pigs or whatever. Unfortunately, a lot of these farmers vote for the Tory party. And I think if I or others can point this out, look, the reason you're suffering is because of the Tory party. Because of Brexit, but because you support the Tory party. You need to stop supporting them. Because you can't complain if you continue to support the likes of Boris Johnson. He's the one who threw you under the bus. What you do is you get out from under the bus, you dust yourself off, and you say, I'm not going to vote for him again. And, we need to continue to push that. Most of you probably have an old uncle or aunt or grandparent or cousin or someone who votes for the Conservative Party, who voted for Brexit. And it's difficult to get through to them. They have their mind set in, Boris is the man for me. Boris is our man of the people. And no matter what he does, you can't convince them. But maybe you can plant a seed. You can try to say, look, think about it this way. Maybe not approach them in an aggressive way, but ask them questions. And I think that's what I try to do when I, with the channel, is to ask questions. Why did people vote for Brexit? What did they think was going to happen? Was it for themselves, or was it to make the country better? And how did they think it turned out? Anyway, let's move on. Thanks for that super chat, John. So I'll go back to Discord. We have one from Linan. Thanks so much for that. How does it feel to have 13,000 more subscribers than Andre Walker? Anyone who doesn't know Andre Walker, he's a Brexiteer. He was being invited on Sky News, I think, even, and Talk Radio as well, to talk about Brexit, how great Brexit is. He's an interesting individual. I've tried to actually reach out to him to have a discussion on Brexit, but he didn't want to do that. I don't know why. He said that I don't show my face. I'm showing my face now. So if you're watching, Andre, the invitation is still valid, but he doesn't want to speak to me for some reason. From Buxton, Barry's tea or Lion's tea? I haven't drank Barry's tea or Lion's tea in a long time, so I'd have to say Barry's for no particular reason. Let me see. Riel sent a message and said, what would you say has shaped your thinking most? So I've always had a passion for British politics, but I'm from Ireland, and growing up in Ireland, we always had our the two wings against each other, the Fianna Fáilers and the Fine Gaelers. And when you actually looked at the parties, for most, there are differences between them, but for most people, they're pretty much the same. And it was quite boring. And I always looked across, because in Ireland we had access to British television like the BBC and ITV. I found British politics more interesting. And then I started to have friends and family living over there, and they would come back and they would tell me about what was happening, and we'd have a discussion about politics, and what was John Major doing, or what was Tony Blair doing, and why were they doing this, and I think that sort of real clear difference between the political parties shaped my view of how politics is. It's there is the ideologies, but at the same time there are people within each party who think they're doing the right thing. Sometimes it's difficult to find them in the Conservative Party, because I think a lot of them are there because of their yes men or yes women for Boris Johnson. And that's, I want to make sure that I don't fall into the trap of just thinking everyone is terrible. Everyone within the Conservative Party is terrible. I'm sure there are people who are decent individuals who care about what they're, care about their fellow man and woman. They have a strange way of showing it, but maybe they do. And I think it's important not to create a sort of echo chamber as well. We have a super chat from Johan. Thanks so much for that, Johan. Do you think the EU should use helicopter money after the pandemic to help to start up again. Yeah, well, am I a supporter of UBI? Then yes, I'm a supporter of helicopter money. Just dumping money where it's needed. Money is one way of sorting getting out of this mess. But I think it's also important that we look back at how key workers, people in supermarkets, people in healthcare, people delivering things to our homes. I think we have to move forward and remember that those people are important as well. They're very important. We used to consider them, I didn't, but us as a society used to consider them as unskilled labor or expendable or whatever. And I want us to change our society moving forward. I want us to think of everyone has a value, everyone has a role to play in our society, everyone has value, and that mustn't be forgotten. But when it comes to invest money, the best way out of this, of course, is to give money to people, to give money to communities, to help them overcome the problems of the pandemic. I hope that answered your question, Johan, so I would support that. We have a super chat from Hedgehog Legs. Thanks so much. Happy birthday, Max. Yay, thank you so much for that. Very kind of you. Had a great lovely cake and some wine to go with it. It was very nice. Local pastry shop. So what I love here in Italy is the pastry shops, unfortunately. I'm going to end up with diabetes probably. I eat so many pastries. But they're wonderful because, and it's changing also. I haven't really been in Ireland for a long period of time, for a number of years, but mainly my family, for example, would eat a lot of those, cakes or things you buy in the supermarket, which are highly processed and they're full of sugar and they're not really all that. You just taste sugar when you eat it. And when I came to Italy, you find the pastry shop. Probably you find it also in other parts of Europe as well, and maybe in Britain as well. But where they make the cake in the pastry shop, and there's a huge difference there. You really taste the ingredients. Pistachio, for example. Pistachio brioche. Brioche is like a croissant with pistachio injected inside. Weighs about 1 kilo. Not good for the slimming line, for the figure. But it's wonderful. We have whoops. Oh, so many super chats tonight. Thank you so much, guys. DC, do you speak Italian fluently? And if so, how long did it take you to learn it? I'm a very bad student. So my wife speaks English fluently, so we would spend most of the time speaking in English. Do I speak Italian fluently? Yes, I think I speak Italian fluently, perché italiano non è molto difficile di imparare, però la grammatica non è facile sì. Okay, so I said the grammar is not so easy, but it's not a very difficult language to learn. So I think I am quite fluent, but I've reached a sort of ceiling where my level has not improved, because I'm not really studying it. I should read books in Italian or websites even in Italian, or interact more with more Italians. But generally, my level is I get by. It's not too bad. How long would it take? I think if you were here, fully immersed, you'd become fluent in a number of months, maybe 3 or 4 months, definitely, because if you're practicing every day. The problem with Italians is that they try and speak English to you. So if they say, "Oh, you're not Italian, you're American, or you're English, or you're Irish, or whatever," you'll speak in Italian to them and they'll reply in English, because they want to practice as well. Stuart, thanks so much for that super chat. The UK now be the last place in Eurovision for the rest of time. Do you agree that this is a responsibility of blundering Boris and his tweed Chad coffee nose Etonian hair-brained thickness. Yes, I think, we try to say, no, Eurovision is not political, but it is political. And I think when Britain came last, UK came last place, or Great Britain was it, arrived at last place in Eurovision, I think it was a consequence of Brexit. You can imagine, if Britain had won it, the Brexiteers would say, see, it's because of Brexit we won. That they lost, they would say, no, it's nothing to do with Brexit. Or if they are pushed, they would say, because they wanted to punish us for Brexit. I mean, no, I was just thinking of this today where, Italy won the Euro 2020, and now we don't hear anything about it. You don't hear the Italians going on about, we won 2020, we won the Euros. Can you imagine if England had won? No offense to any English people, but would people have shut up about it? They would still be going on about it. And you can be guaranteed that if England had won the Euro 2020, Brexiteers would say, because of Brexit, we won it. It was the Brexit spirit that helped us score those goals. This is for iTunes. Thank you so much for that super chat. Very kind of you. No comment, but support. Thank you so much for that. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Okay, I'll go forward with the Discord comments. Are you planning a holiday to Ginger Island with the missus next year? I would love to go to Ginger Island. I'd love to meet with Graham and Allshorts, Marcus. They must be having a wonderful time. I've checked in on some of the live streams, and they're hard at work, and they've done a huge amount of they've made a huge amount of progress since the last video I saw. It's going to be a wonderful place, so I would love to visit. Don't know when or if it's possible at the moment, but yes. And I really like the idea of what Graham is doing, where he's going to, as far as I know, unless he's changed his plans since the last time I checked, but he's going to open a resort. He wants to open a resort there, so where people can go stay there for a holiday and understand the importance of respecting the environment as well. The amount of energy you use and the amount of water you use. That's a wonderful idea. Let me see. We have another comment. Which of the Star Trek leading females would you like to see in a bikini? This is from Bogdan. In case you were wondering, Bogdan has bikinis on the brain. 7 of 9, of course. Although she's not leading, is she? She is sort of leading. We have Greg. Thanks so much, Greg. Bring in UBI paid for with about 20% turnover tax deducted by banks to replace the income and national insurance tax. Free people to be enterprising and productive. Yes, there was a study done where they said that a 0.5%, sorry, 0.05%, I think it was. No, sorry, it was 0.5%. It was like 0.5%. Transaction tax. If that was carried out, a 0.5% transaction tax, it would bring in £200 billion to the UK economy. It doesn't exist at the moment, this tax. Now, it would impact ordinary people very little, because if you do a transaction, you buy something on Amazon, for example, and it costs £10. 0.5% of that would go as a tax. Is very little, but imagine these big companies that are making massive transaction, hundreds of millions of pounds over and back to different bank accounts or to investment funds or hedge funds or whatever, or massive purchases. That would bring in a huge amount of money, and we could use that to fund a UBI. And we could eliminate other types of taxation. Yes, national insurance wouldn't. You would pay. You could pay for that through a turnover tax or through a transaction tax. I'm not an expert on these things, but I've read a few articles about it, and it seems many of these things are possible. SD White, SD Witt, thanks so much for that super chat. Congratulations, Max. The waste of rotting crops, the waste of rotten crops and culling animals when so many are in need makes me feel sick. Farming is not an easy life. As a former farm girl, we were taught not to waste, yes, because everything is needed. Even the manure is used to fertilize the land to grow new crops or to grow grass again to feed the cows or the animals. What's also frustrating about this is Boris Johnson's response. Him saying, yeah, well, the pigs die anyway. Like, who is he trying to impress? Obviously, he doesn't give a crap about the farmers. He doesn't give a crap about the animals. He doesn't give a crap about the market. But I think this plays into part of this Tory way of thinking. Let the market decide. Yeah, we've created all these obstacles that the market didn't want, but we let the market decide. Let the businesses decide. We've created these problems, but they can fix them. They keep saying about how, businesses just need to adapt. Yeah, but if you created an obstacle, why should business have to adapt? Why did you create that obstacle in the first place? Especially as we were telling you, don't create the obstacle. It's going to create problems for these industries. And yeah, it is. It's disgusting. Also, the fact that I did a video where they were they were growing peppers in England, and the peppers have to stay on the zucchini or courgette. They have to stay on the plants longer because they don't have the staff to pick them. And then when they do actually pick them, they rot in the fields because they don't have the staff to load them to collect them for the warehouse. And then they rot in the warehouse because there aren't enough lorries to come and pick them up and deliver them to the market. And then whatever does get delivered is probably rotten in the supermarket because it's been staying in the warehouse for too long. All the while, there's a massive increase in the use of food banks. So people don't have enough money. They're working. They're on universal credit. They still don't have enough money. They go to the food bank, and the food banks are like, we don't have enough. We don't have enough food because the supermarkets don't have enough. Because normally, what a lot of the food banks would receive they would receive surplus from the supermarkets. But if the supermarkets aren't getting their food, then of course the food banks are running out as well. But don't worry, food banks are uplifting, as Jacob Rees-Mogg said. Who votes for these people? Thanks so much for that, SD. Johan, small donation to you and your wife to have a nice dinner. Oh wow! Thank you so much, Johan. That's very kind of you. Wow, very kind of you. I was going to actually have pizza tonight, but I was feeling a bit under the weather today. So not because of alcohol, I promise. No, I think the weather here is changing. It was quite warm recently, and now it's got very cold, and I think I maybe felt a bit bad because of that. I'm quite sensitive to these things. I wasn't so sensitive when I was living in Ireland. In Ireland it rains like this. So let me move the screen so I can see. It rains like this, and it rains like this, and it's very, very cold. And I knew I was basically Italian once when I returned to Ireland, and I was waiting for a bus to go from Dublin Airport to I think to my home, and I saw it was about 11 degrees. I was wrapped in a coat. I just come from Italy, and I was wrapped in a coat, 11 degrees, and I looked across, and there was a man with his kids who had arrived maybe from Spain or something, and they were wearing a t-shirt and shorts because the sun was out. And that's how we are in Ireland. If the sun is out, we wear a short t-shirt and shorts. Even if it is 11 degrees. And I was shaking in the cold, even though the sun was out. And I was like, okay, I'm no longer Irish. So thanks so much for that. So I was going to have pizza tonight, but maybe have it tomorrow now. Thanks so much for that, Johan. We have Tiny Demolition Lover. Thank you so much for that. Happy birthday, Max, and congrats on the 80,000. If you had to choose one fictional world to live in, which would it be? Which would you choose and why? Well, I'm a Star Wars fan, which is not liked by some people. So I'd love to live in the Star Wars universe. So if not Star Trek, actually, because I like the idea of, you know, a world where there is no poverty, there is no hunger. We build massive spaceships just to fly around the galaxy, around the universe, because we can. So, you know, discovering new worlds and new civilizations. So both of those are quite enticing. Probably Star Trek would be probably better because you're more likely not to get killed. Your life is more valued in Star Trek than in Star Wars. Veg Pie, thank you so much. Happy birthday, Max. Hey, thank you so much for that, Veg Pie. Corn make very nice veggie pie. Don't know if you're familiar with that. We also have Bogdan. Thank you so much, Bogdan. We're reading out your comments, so I have to read out your super chat. Very kind. Hi, Max. Remember what I told you about farming in that after stream chat 1 year ago? So, was I right? I hate the bloody Tories. Yes, I remember you saying, yeah, I remember Bogdan had said that there's going to be, they're going to be culling animals, they're going to be shortages of staff, there are going to be serious problems on farms, they're not going to have the staff they need, and that's what's happened. I think, you know, when we look at some of the predictions that people made, about, you know, when it was dismissed as Project Fear, we almost imagined that, well, the Tories wouldn't let that happen, would they? They would do a massive U-turn to cover their arses, to save face. And I was one of those people. I thought, you know, if there are shortages, they'll be temporary, because, you know, it would be embarrassing for Boris Johnson to see fuel shortages. It would be embarrassing for Boris Johnson to see empty supermarket shelves. So these problems would be, you know, there'd be a massive U-turn taking place, because that's what a normal politician would do. Politicians see something embarrassing, they do a U-turn. But Boris Johnson's not like that. He's beyond that. He just doesn't give a crap. And it's extremely worrying, because how bad is it going to get before he does actually give a crap and does do a U-turn? Thanks so much for that super chat as well. Lean, thanks so much for that super chat. Question, why was I kicked off your Discord server with no notification? A very impolite message from one of your admins. I cancelled Patreon because of it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll never be back, but I like you. I'm sorry for that, Lean. No, what's happened recently is a lot of people were on Discord, well, a lot of people on Patreon and not on Discord, and we had to do some cleaning up. And unfortunately, I think a lot of accounts got removed because they were not active. And I think I posted something on Patreon saying that, look, we're going to have to remove some accounts, but if you need access, if you want to get back onto Discord, let me know and I'll do that. I'm sorry that you got removed. But anyone who was on Discord and got removed by accident, or if there was some cleanup that took place and you got kicked off, do please contact me and I will I'll reinstate you. Just there were so many, I think there were so many accounts that were on and not active. We were afraid that there were some of them may have been bot accounts or something like that, because there was an incident some weeks ago with bots, and we just wanted to be careful not to have some of them on Discord as well. So if you just drop me a line, I'll send you a link to an invite and we can get you back on. Sorry about that. Cahill, thanks so much for that super chat. Happy birthday, Max, and congrats. Can you push for a bypass Newtown Forbes, please? I'll do my best. Was it Jackie Heaney Ray, or then, you know, the guy who was an independent in was it from Kerry, who got everything he wanted, and then his son who looks exactly, he's like a carbon copy of him. So if I become an independent in Ireland, I'll campaign for a bypass in Newtown Forbes. And if I'm an independent and I get in, you can be guaranteed you get your bypass. From Night Raven, how many gerbils does it take to fill your mankini? Asking for a friend. 25, actually. I did actually count. And he has a real question. How much ham could a hamster stir if a hamster could stir ham? That needs to be researched. Which is worse? This is from Buxton. Wesley Crusher or Jar Jar Binks? Jar Jar Binks. Well, I don't know which is worse, annoying or annoying or how can I say? What is Wesley Crusher? Obnoxious. Probably. No, annoying is worse than obnoxious. Who's your favorite Brexiteer? Okay. So this is from Buxton. Who's my favorite Brexiteer? So I don't know if it's favorite for comedy or favorite because they are horrible people. So probably my favorite Brexiteer would be the guy who I sometimes describe as the Wish.com version of Boris Johnson. Michael something, I don't remember. He's a Tory MP. He looks like Boris Johnson, but if you, as I said, if you bought Boris Johnson on Wish and arrived, you're like, hey, this isn't Boris Johnson. It looks somewhat like Boris Johnson, but it's not Boris Johnson. And Michael something, I don't remember his name. So I would, he's my favorite Brexiteer. Or what's his name? The guy who was, I forget his name. He went around with a pint of milk. Charles Walker, I think it was. Charles Walker. So I like these sort of obscure Brexiteers because some of them actually believe what they're saying. Michael Fabricant or Fabricant. What about Desmond Swain? Michael is like, I call him, the Wish.com version of Boris Johnson. Not that anyone would want to order Boris Johnson on Wish, but why do you use Maximilian Robespierre as your icon? Because I liked the idea of the anti-corruption message he had, and that's why I use Robespierre. Okay, so I just want to go back to the other comments on Discord for a moment. Who's your favorite Brexiteer? Okay, as Emperor of the Universe, what would be your first decree? Would be to make sure that the BBC use the B word. The BBC must use the Brexit word. They've been avoiding it. They have been mellowing out a little bit. They have been warming to using Brexit. Sorry, but I think it would be good for them to actually be a bit more honest about that. This is from Mandy. Sorry, that was from Ministerian. Mandy says, who would be your first choice for leader of the Labour Party? So I think at the moment they need to stick with Keir Starmer. Okay, not that Keir Starmer is wonderful. Keir Starmer is the best of what they have at the moment. Now, if it wasn't Keir Starmer, who would be a good leader? See, it's important not to choose somebody who's just a firebrand like David Lammy. I like David Lammy, but I don't know if he'd be a good leader. Yvette Cooper, perhaps. I think she's somebody who comes across as very authentic, but also somebody who could maybe lead the party. Because it's important not just to think of this person. I like this person. For example, John Bercow. What is a wonderful speaker. He would tear Boris Johnson apart during Prime Minister's questions. But is he the type of person to lead the party? I don't think so, because he used to be a Tory. And how are you going to convince members? I don't think he'd actually ever get to the stage where he'd actually win the leadership, because he'd need people on the left to vote for him, to support him. And they're not going to do that. So there's very little chance of somebody like him, because there's a process. You have to win enough votes within the party to become leader. We would like just to drop people in there, and John Bercow will be one. But Yvette Cooper definitely, I think, would be a good leader. I like David Lammy as well, but I don't know if David is leadership material. Definitely would be good as a attack dog or something like that, and he's really good at that, and he's a really good politician, very authentic, but I don't know if he's a leader. Johan, thanks so much for that super chat. Do many people think in Northern Ireland think the universe is only 6,000 years old, or is it when they were elected, or where they're elected from? So what Johan is referring to is, of course, Edwin Poots of the DUP and other people within the DUP who think that they're young earth creationists, which are people who think that the earth is about 6,000 years old. They believe the Bible literally, not it's a story and it has, it uses some metaphor. No. They believe it word for word. As what's his name? Ned Flanders says, I believe these things and also the things that contradict. The Simpsons is wonderful. So I love sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a moment. So yes, there are people in Northern Ireland who believe that the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old. My question to them is, if you're having a heart attack, do you rely on modern science, or do you just pray to Jeebus? Probably the former. And then they pray to Jeebus for saving their life, not the surgeon. I always find those things funny, where people are like, I was having a heart attack, and I went into hospital, and the surgeon carried out the surgery, and I prayed to Jeebus, prayed to God to help me get through the surgery, and I got through the surgery thanks to God. Like, no, it's this bloody guy or woman who trained for 10 or 15 years, put in hours and hours and hours of study late at night to study to become a surgeon. They're the ones you should be thanking, not the guy who gave you the heart attack in the first place. No. Don't blame God for everything. But yeah, some of them think the earth is to 6,000 to 10,000 years old. And those people are making policy. Those are the people who decide whether a woman can have an abortion or not. Matt Greek, would you rather be 4'7" or 7'4"? Well, both have their benefits, I think. 4'7", you would be your house. If you live in a small house, it becomes much bigger. 7'4", your house becomes much smaller, so it becomes a problem. But you're able to see above people, so I'm not sure which is better. It's easy. It's probably easier to buy clothes for someone who's 4'7" than 7'4". From Reagan Elite, if you could create your own political party, what would you call it? That's an interesting question. What would I call it? The Brexiteers. Progress. I think Progress would be a good name for a party. No, maybe not, maybe it's a terrible name. But the idea of moving forward, not going backwards, not regression, but progression. Something like that. Progress or move forward, or I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I'd be more likely maybe to join a party, but I don't know which party would be good for me. Night Raven says, if you are San Colut in 1794, who would you have voted? Which way would you have voted? Voted for the Jacobins, of course. Although I don't know how many of the Jacobins were still around in 1794. From Killer, hi there. I know that this is you are very passionate about protecting the environment and animal welfare, etc. So I was wondering, what would be your favorite UK wildlife species? Is it the badger, fox, or something else? I love the badger. There is a Twitter account called Mr. Oh my God, what's it called? Mr. not Mr. Furry, Mr. Something. Anyway, it's what it is. It's a wonderful account. If you can find it on Twitter, this person in their garden put up a hidden camera, like a night vision camera or whatever, and they leave out food for badgers, for foxes, for wild animals, and they come and they eat squirrels as well. And they come and they eat in their garden, and they release these videos of the badger, for example, eating nuts and things like this. Mr. Lumpy, if you have a look on Twitter for Mr. Lumpy, wonderful videos, and they have a website where you can buy little toys and stuff of Mr. Lumpy. So I think it's a beautiful thing, because it doesn't cost you anything just to leave out a little bit of food for them, and it makes we're seeing their habitats get smaller and smaller because of us building homes and building factories and building roads in those areas, and their home is getting smaller and smaller. So if we can do something to help them out, that's always a good thing. So check out Mr. Lumpy, Lumpy, I think it is, on Twitter. Mr. Lumpy and Friends, yes. There was a super chat. I hope I didn't miss it. Yes. It is from DC again. Thanks so much, DC. Very kind of you, DC, tonight. When a Scottish referendum is on the table, which side will you promote on your channel? Well, I haven't hidden my support for Scottish independence, so I would support Scottish independence. Look, I think the Scottish people. Also, if you think about the European Union, the Scottish people voted to remain in the European Union, and they didn't want to leave, and now they're being forced out because of Brexit. They didn't support Brexit. Like they wanted to stay. Sorry, start again. I'm a bit confused there. In the referendum, they were convinced to stay in the UK Union, because if the UK if Scotland became independent, it would be kicked out of the European Union. Then in the Brexit referendum 2 years later, they voted to remain in the European Union, and they were dragged out by the UK. The Scottish people are suffering the consequences of Brexit, just like the English people, and they want to become independent. And I am a supporter of self-determination. Here in Italy, for example, there is a small movement in the north of Italy called where they are it used to be part of Austria, and a lot of the people there would like to rejoin with Austria. They haven't had any referendum, as far as I know. There was one in 1970s, I think. But if those people want to rejoin, be reunified with Austria, I've no problem with that. I think they should be allowed to do that. And I think the Scottish people, if they support leaving the Union, that should be their choice. So no, I lay my cards on the table here. I support Scottish independence. And I think it's getting support for that is growing all the time, because if you look at who's making decisions for Scottish people at the moment, some of the decisions are made by the Scottish Parliament, but a lot of the decisions are also made by Westminster, where who's in charge there? Boris Johnson. When Boris Johnson goes to Scotland, he has to be smuggled in under the cover of darkness and smuggled out again. He's not very popular there. Probably the least popular Prime Minister in living history, I imagine. I think even Margaret Thatcher was more popular in Scotland than Boris Johnson. Is it true Nicola Sturgeon's tattooed on your back? It was actually Alex Salmon. No. It's Nicola Sturgeon riding a unicorn with long hair, not short hair. She has long flowing hair. long red flowing hair. Nicola Sturgeon riding a unicorn. I can't show it to you because it's difficult from this angle. Now you're probably going to see images of Nicola Sturgeon riding a unicorn on merchandise or something. I missed a super chat. let me see. This is from Artemis. Thank you so much, Artemis. Great to see you again. Happy birthday, Max. Congratulations on 80,000 subscribers. Tell me how we in Britain can get rid of these murderous S in Downing Street, please. We have to keep pointing out what a disaster Brexit is, but we also have to point out that it's because of the Tories, because of the likes of Boris Johnson. I think this is the only way, is to convince people. We have to move away from just saying Brexit is the problem, because we're starting to see how even people who voted for Brexit are saying, yeah, it is a problem. But those people must not turn around at the next election and say, yeah, Brexit is a problem, but I'm going to vote for Boris because I like him. Or I'm going to vote for the Tories because they promised to spend more money, or they promised to give us more food banks. You know, the Labour Party aren't providing more food banks. The Boris Johnson and the Tories are. Sarcasm there, of course. But I think the problems need to be linked to the party. So if people are suffering at the moment, there is a reason why. And the reason is because of Brexit, and the reason is because of Boris Johnson and the Tories. The Labour Party really need to bang on about that. And they also need to provide an alternative. So yes, Boris Johnson is the problem. Brexit is the problem. Here is the solution. Thanks so much for that, Artemis. Hope you're fine. Bumped in again. Thanks so much for that. Is it true? Nicola Sturgeon tattooed on your back. Not yet. But you have planted a seed. Johan again, thanks so much for that. You really think Spain would let Scotland join the EU? Yeah. Let me make sure I didn't miss another super chat. Yes, Johan. This is something that has been raised by many people. I think it's a red herring. I don't think it's really going to be a case of Spain blocking Scotland, because many people say, well, what about Catalonia? But Catalonia and Scotland are two different things. They're two. First, Scotland is a country. Catalonia is a region. That's one difference that you can't really compare the two with. But also, I think the more important point is that if Scotland left the Union, it becomes a country, an independent country. It's no longer a region trying to cede as the UK's. So the problem is that if the UK is no longer a member, the UK it's like China or Russia or some other place like that is in no way connected to the European Union. So if Scotland became independent, it would be like a new country appearing, and the new country coming along to the European Union saying, I would like to become a member. And that's not like Catalonia saying, I want to become independent from Spain, because Spain is a member of the European Union. And the European Union does not want to get involved in internal politics for right reasons or wrong reasons. But Scotland becoming independent would not be the EU getting involved in UK politics, because the UK is no longer a member. So I don't see it really as being a problem. So I think it's important to remember that Scotland is a country while Catalonia is a region, and it's much more difficult. And also, as I said, Scotland would be independent at that stage. It's not like Scotland becoming independent while the UK is a member of the European Union. No. Sturgeon tattoo for 100,000 subs, or on Scotland Independence Day. Yeah, let's make it Scottish Independence Day. Thanks, Ministerian. Yeah. I hope this isn't being recorded. Where do I press the delete button? Scottish Independence is probably further away. I hope. 100,000 I'm hoping soon. Okay, I go back to Discord. We have some more questions. This is from Buxton. Why did you move to Italy? I talked about that at the beginning. Mrs. Max she is at fault there. Kinsey asked, if somebody offered you £1 million to promote Brexit, would you do it? No. Look. Also, if I turn around tomorrow and say, hey guys, it was all a mistake. I was wrong. Brexit is a good idea. Yay, Brexit. I don't think people would believe me. So I wouldn't. £1 million is very nice, but it wouldn't work like that. Now, I think if you had somebody like, it would make more sense to somebody who's very, James O'Brien, for example. Imagine if James O'Brien turned around and said, yeah, I was wrong about Brexit. Brexit is a success. The problem is, it'd be very difficult for him to do that, even if they offered him £1 million or £10 million, because people wouldn't believe you. And the people who you would be trying to court wouldn't really like you in the first place because they would disagree with you on other policies. So people, even if I turned around, even if people said, look, I became a Brexiteer tomorrow, you people wouldn't trust me, and the Brexiteers probably wouldn't trust me. Some of them maybe, but so you wouldn't believe some of the comments that were received on Sir Ron Van T's videos. Erica wrote, can you see yourself as a Klingon motivational speaker? Okay. I don't speak Klingon, as you can tell. From Buxton, who said, who would you rather be trapped in a lift with? Okay. Anne Whitcomb, Andre Walker, Dominic Raab, or Priti Patel? So, Anne Whitcomb, no way. Andre Walker, no. Dominic Raab or Priti Patel? Priti Patel would probably stab me or sneer me to death. You know, like in has anyone ever seen that movie? What's it called? The Grudge. You know, they're like, that's how Priti Patel kills people. No, she doesn't kill people. I'm only joking. Dominic Raab, yeah, probably Dominic Raab, because I'd be able to convince him to climb up through the thing, and Dominic Raab is not very clever. So he's easily manipulated, I think. And that's all the super chat. Sorry, that's all the comments we have on Discord. So I'll just close that. Stephen, thanks so much for that super chat. The EU will allow Scotland back in if there's a huge renewable potential in wave and wind, and would power a chunk of Europe. Yeah, I think that's a huge possibility. The European Union would say, we'll let, quid pro quo, we'll give you membership if you let us have access to your energy. I don't know if that's really the case, but it could be something the Scottish government, the future Scottish government, could sell as an aspect of EU membership. Yeah, definitely. Dominic Raab looks like he farts a lot. Priti Patel would probably get you out of there. She'd order me out. You have to leave. Fabulous hat. Just a late drop in. Deborah Reeves, great to see you. I'm glad you like the hat. Somebody else left their hat here. I don't know if you recognize this hat. Anyone? Do you recognize this hat? Don't know whose it is. What's your favorite breakfast cereal? I'm just going to read some of the comments now. So, what's your favorite breakfast cereal, and why is it Smacks? I don't understand. My favorite breakfast cereal as a kid was, I don't remember. There's one of those sugary ones. That's Sir Ron's hat. Ah, it's Sir Ron. Okay. I knew I had to throw away some old tat. Boo the other hat. Scotland joining the EU is not rejoining. Scotland was never a member of the EU as an individual country. Yeah, that's a point that I think it's uncharted territory. Some people will say it's just a matter of Scotland rejoining. It's not a matter of Scotland joining. I would say that it's more a matter of Scotland joining as a new member, because some of the, like, the aspect of Scotland being a former member helps it speed up the process. So I don't think it would go through the normal procedure. This is for the iTunes. Thank you so much for that super chat. Happy birthday. I'm a scientist going to COP26 as an official observer. Wow. Can I offer your listeners to send strong messages to clown Bojo about climate change? Get in touch. IG me on Straight Talking Nerd. Definitely. Thank you so much for that. Yes. Please, maybe we can ask... perhaps we can ask one of the moderators to send you a link who can invite you to Discord. We can have a chat about that. We can prepare some questions for you to just shout at Boris Johnson. Thanks so much for that. Thanks for getting in touch, and would love to support you if we can. Killer, thanks so much for that. Happy birthday, mate. What's going to break you this year? Last year it was Richard Gere and gerbils. So last year I had another sort of stream like this, and so somebody brought up Richard Gere and gerbils. I don't know if you know the urban legend, and I wasn't able to continue the stream. I broke down. Thanks so much for that, Killer. Hey, Sugar Puffs were lovely as a kid. Some of the things I've seen today in the supermarket, they're like these colorful, it's like just colored sugar that you put milk on. You save the planet, reduce your carbon footprint, imprint, eat the rich. Yes. Recycling, see? Just like Snatch, Boris should be fed to the pigs. Going. Scotland meets EU criteria, and if that continues with independence, then it's just a matter of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. Yeah, I think any problems that Scotland would face would be political, not technical. What urban legend? It was real. Porridge was your favorite cereal, Wayne? Not mine. I know it's good for you, but it's not the nicest thing. Anyway, when I was a kid, it was always like these sugary things I used to love. Roma style, Napoli style, or other style of pizza, says Brian. I prefer Roma style. So Roma style pizza, is the thin crust. Napoli style is a thicker crust. I don't know if there's another style of pizza, but I prefer the thin crust. Normally if you I'll tell you a funny story. So a guy I know had come over from Ireland to work here in Italy, and it was very first time arriving in Italy, and he arrived really late at night. He arrived on a late flight. He went to the office where he had to pick up the key to go to his flat. He was staying in a flat provided by the office, and he was starving. He was like, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I want to have something to eat. Most of the restaurants are closed, or there was nothing really available. So he went to, I think it was a Monday or something, but he went to a pizzeria, takeaway pizzeria, and he went in and he saw the menu, and it was margherita pizza, which is a basic pizza, €5. He says, €5 for a pizza? I'm from Ireland. Like, what do you get for €5? Something like this. So he saw pizza maxi, €10, and he was, that's probably something reasonable. So he ordered the pizza maxi, which is like for families, which is about this size. I don't know if you can see on the screen. It's about this size. It's about 1 meter by 1 meter. And he said he ate it for about a week. Cut it in bits and put it in the fridge. So that was interesting. We have so I prefer... Brian, let me know in the comments what you prefer. Napoli or Roma. Yoni, thanks so much for that super chat. Scotland was very much part of the EU, not just as a country. Very good point, yes. No pineapple. I think, as I said before, Scotland joining the EU would be very different to other nations joining. Thin crust for sure. The wood oven if possible. Very good point. 44-inch thin. Sounds like my kind of food. Continental Europe can be terrible for late night food. Yes. Something I couldn't understand when I first came here. Most shops or places are closed from 12 until 3. You can't get food, in a normal town. If you go to the big cities, yes, there are restaurants open all the time. But generally, you go to, for Irish people, eating at 5 or 6 o'clock is normal. If you go to a restaurant here at 5 or 6 o'clock, it'll be closed. Or if you go to a pizzeria, for example, at 6:30, they'll be warming up the oven. So they don't normally serve food until about 7 or 8 o'clock. So 7:30. So for a lot of Irish people who come to Italy, for example, my brother who came here some years ago, he was like, I'm hungry now. I want to eat at 6 o'clock. It's like, no, but there's nothing open. How's that possible? Would you like an ice cream? We have a super chat from George. Thank you so much, George. Happy birthday, Max. Thank you so much for that. Very kind of you. CGM, thank you so much. Happy birthday, Max. Hey, thank you so much. Very kind of you. So many kind people tonight. I see Matt Greek needs to be banned. Pizza, pineapple. That's terrible. Well, so many kind people tonight. Very kind of you all. Hope you're enjoying the stream. 365. Yay, smash that like button. I think we'll go on for another few minutes, and then it's almost 2 hours, so I wasn't planning to speak so much. Read some more of your comments. The problem for Scotland would be the monetary currency related, especially since they don't have the euro. See, there has been arguments for and against that. Some saying that they could use dollar if they wanted. They could use the euro if they wanted. They could they could create a new currency, which probably would be the best idea, because then you can control the flow of the currency. You can control the production of it. Because at the moment, if you start using euros or pounds sterling, you don't actually control it, which could be a problem. But there's an economist who has a YouTube channel who's very knowledgeable on these things. How has Brexit benefited any sector of the UK? I don't know. Is there any sector that has benefited? Hedge funds, asset stripping. Anyone who's involved in asset stripping has probably benefited from Brexit. Where is the fun vid? I'm not sure what you mean, Johan. What funny video? Pineapple on pizza, yum. No, it's a no requirement to join the euro. Sweden isn't either. Richard J. Murphy, yes. Richard J. Murphy is the guy to check out. I believe the punt was pegged to the pound for a while earlier on, yes, and then in I think it was 1992 when they changed to the Deutschmark. Debt collectors, yes, they're doing very well at the moment. Money laundering, more like. Yes, well said, no DLC. The antacid industry. I think some members of the stream need to stop listening and reading the mainstream media. Max, you do have any video in the live stream? Oh yes, let me find that funny video. Yeah, I'll finish with the funny video tonight. Let me see where it is. Because I hadn't planned to do a video tonight, but where is it? Yes, here we go. This guy is very funny, so I will finish with that. Reagan Ali, thanks so much for that super chat. Thanks, Max. Happy birthday, Max. Thanks for all the work you have done. Shout out to all the mods on here and Discord for all the work they have done too. Yeah, the moderators are wonderful. I couldn't do it without them. They're wonderful people. Thanks so much to all the moderators and the admins as well on Discord and on YouTube for doing a wonderful job. Because there's a lot of trolls, there are a lot of spammers who, who would prefer just to write some stupid comment than actually engage with people. And it's important that we have people who will go through all the comments, because a lot of the comments are racist or sexist or just very, very nasty, and it's good to remove those if those people are up to no good. And I can't do it. It would be impossible for me to do it because there are thousands of comments every day. But I think it makes for a better experience for people who are on the channel. If you're not reading all these sort of ridiculous comments, it's not about censorship. If somebody wants to engage, I welcome engagement. I welcome anyone who wants to come on and debate as well. And if you can find any Brexiteers who are willing to debate, not even a debate, just to have a conversation, a friendly conversation about why they voted for Brexit, what they expected was going to happen, why they think things are going like this. I'm very happy to do that. But nobody wants to come on. Scotland-England border protocol would be interesting. Scotland and Ireland should create a Celtic union. Okay, as an unbiased option, have you a positive thought for Brexit? I'm Scottish and done with the peeps down south and always open to new opinions, to different opinions. An unbiased opinion, anything positive for Brexit? Brexit has created lots of jobs and opportunities, but not in Britain. They're in Europe, if that's a benefit. Northern Ireland is actually doing quite well out of Brexit because of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So it has access to the UK market, to the GB market, and has access to the EU market. It's basically had what it had before. But what's happened maybe as a benefit of Brexit is, if Brexit did not happen, Northern Ireland would not be seeing the investment that it is at the moment. So in a sort of weird way, Northern Ireland that voted against Brexit is benefiting because of Brexit. Because if you can't import goods, or if it's difficult to import goods from Great Britain, you're going to import them from somewhere else. And there are companies setting up British companies setting up in Northern Ireland because of the advantages of being in the single market. So that's a benefit for Northern Ireland, but it's at the almost every benefit has an expense somewhere else, and wherever Northern Ireland is benefiting, GB is losing out. So it's difficult to come up with a positive because there's always a cost on the other side. Brian Jelly, thanks so much for that super chat, very kind of you. We also have one from Bite Size Ghost Stories. What pizza are you going to order tomorrow? So Bite Size Ghost Stories, if you don't know, is Mrs. Max. And she's asking me early, what pizza do I want to have tomorrow night? Probably the usual. I'm a boring old man. Congratulations on 80k. Thanks so much, the Mr. Moko. And we're over 2,000, so I think 2 hours. So I think we'll call it a night for tonight. I want to say massive thank you. Don't worry, I'll upload our video in a moment. Let me see if I can just bring this over here so you'll be able to see it.
So you're having some problems.
Whoops. Okay. So I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came on tonight. Thanks to everyone who smashed the like button. Thanks to everyone who sent a super chat. Greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for that. And thanks to the moderators and the admins for doing a wonderful job as always, keeping the trolls at bay. I think we did pretty well tonight. There weren't too many troublemakers. So guys, I want to say a massive thank you. Thank you so much for getting the channel to 80,000. Roll on 100. hopefully maybe sometime early next year. And of course, I'll do something special for that. This will be probably the last Ask Me Anything before 100,000. So maybe at the next one, we'll have some new people, some new questions. Thanks to all of you for supporting the channel so far. Both people who have just joined or people who have been with me since the beginning. I couldn't do it without you, and it's it warms my heart, and I'm not just saying that, it really does, because I never really believed it would get to this stage, and it's it makes me feel that I'm making a little impact, and that's thanks to you too, because if all of you sharing the videos, people commenting on the videos, that's reaching out, is planting seeds around, and some people have told me that they've shared these videos with friends or family members who disagree with them on Brexit, and I'm not expecting it to change minds, but at least if it plants a seed, I think it's doing a good job. And I think that's what all of us are trying to do on YouTube. All of us, on the Remain side, Phil and others, we're not trying to change the world, but we're trying to plant some seeds, because of that. I think that's what's important. So enough of me. Let's finish on our one for the road. Let me bring this up here. Get rid of myself. Bye. And just bear with me. Whoops. I'm not very technical, as you know. Why isn't it appearing? Because I had it hidden. Sorry about that. Okay, enjoy.
So you're having some problems with your small business? Yeah, I mean, you've built a fence around my shop? Well, it's what the people around here wanted. We can't just let other people come and go as they please. Did they really want the fence right in front of my shop? That's certainly how we saw it. But some of my suppliers and customers can't get in anymore. Don't worry, we trust you. What? I'm sure you're a great business. We trust that you know what you're doing and you'll find clever ways around this situation. Can I knock down the fence? Absolutely not. Cut a hole in it? We'll lock you up. Well, I guess I could build some sort of machine that helps people get stock over the fence. You see, it's all about innovation. That will cost quite a lot of money though. It's time you invested. I've literally just survived a pandemic. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. What, like long COVID? Are we done? I'm going to have to pass these costs on to my customers. Don't do that, and probably lay off staff. Definitely don't do that. In fact, you should pay them more. With what money? The money you'll make by being smarter. But you see, this is why we put the fence up in the first place. I thought you said it was to keep people out. No, it was to make you stronger. But it's just an obstacle. Or is it an obstacle course? Like in the army, to make you fitter. You've never run a business, have you? How dare you? I'm on the board of several companies. What do they do? No idea. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get to an AGM. My brother-in-law's the CEO and he hates it when I'm late. Oh, you don't sell petrol, do you? No. Shame.
Wonderful. So guys, once again, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Thanks to everyone who sent a super chat. Thanks to all the moderators as well and admins. Done a great job. See you soon. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:30 British summertime. Have a great weekend as always and stay safe. Take care. Good night.